Okay, Portugal playing Switzerland in the opening round in Group C in the Women's Euros today at the Lee Valley Sports Village, one of those heavily criticised stadiums. And yes, one stand is not being used because it's standing room only, because it is a rugby league stadium by design and reduced capacity. It's a bit frustrating. However, the game did not disappoint. It's finished 2-2. It is truly a game of two halves. The end with no fans in the standing only end that is not being used for this tournament is where all the goals go in. You couldn't make that one up. But it is really a tale of two halves. The Swiss get off like a freight train. They're 2-0 up after 5 minutes with 2 shots, 2 goals, and the Portuguese take until the 59th minute to actually score, and then they get a second goal very, very quickly. So it's just bursts of scoring intermittently. The flow of the game was scrappy. There was no real flow to the game at times, and at times it wasn't an easy watch. I'm going to say that for a 2-2 draw, there were periods where the game was scrappy. Now, the Swiss goals. Sal with a shot from distance. The goalkeeper should do better. Kivic with the header from the free kick. That is almost a technically perfect header. Defending can do better. The defensive organisation. There are 3 unmarked Swiss players beyond the last defender when the ball's coming in. So it was take your pick who was going to take the chance. It was Kivic who heads it in. And after 5 minutes, you're thinking the Portuguese have collapsed here. This could be 4, 5, 6, 7 goals. This could be a thrashing. And then the Swiss sit back. The Swiss did not have another shot on target until deep into the second half. The Portuguese were allowed to steady themselves and play themselves back into the game. Now, the game was not the best game I've ever seen. I've seen worse men's games, to be fair, but this was not the best international game I've ever seen, I'll be honest. But there were bursts of action, and that's all it needs, is bursts of activity and action, and that's where the 2 Portuguese goals come from in the second half. Gomez with a fantastic shot from distance, possibly one of the best goals of the tournament so far. And Jessica Silva's goal a few minutes later, or 65 minutes, bundled in from a corner. So initially has the shot, keeper saves it, she gets the rebound. It's a scrappy rebound, but it's a goal. And then you're thinking the Portuguese are going to blow the Swiss off the park. Doesn't happen. The game again descends into a scrappy phase. The Portuguese, however, have got control of the possession, control of the territory. They're controlling, they're getting chance after chance after chance. They hit a post. The Swiss eventually hit the bar. And then you're thinking the last 15 minutes, the game has suddenly come to life. Whereas the previous 65, 70 minutes, apart from the 4 goals, it hasn't been the best game. It's been very stop-start. There's been a lot of heavy challenges in there. There's been a lot of niggly fouls. There hasn't been much flow. Misplaced passes. Mistakes, but it's not flowed, and then suddenly it comes to life and the pace of the game increases. Now, I will say this. The weather conditions today, it has been very, very hot here in the UK where I live. There is not a breath of wind, if any. There's not a cloud in the sky. We're entering our second heat wave of the summer. So it's hot, dry conditions with humidity in there. And that may have had a part to play on this game being a bit stop-start and lacking a bit of flow. But these are 2 of the lower-ranked sides in the tournament. And both sides by the end trying to win the game, which is refreshing. The Dutch and the Swedes are far better sides in this group, historically and currently in the world rankings. So the Swiss and the Portuguese gave a good account of themselves. It was a scrappy game, but both sides had bursts of energy for the goals. And then in the last 15, 20 minutes, it was a rather entertaining end to a rather scrappy game, if I'm being fair. But you could see the willingness was there. The Swiss, I think, got off to such a fast start, they didn't know what to do. The Portuguese got off to such a slow start, they didn't know what to do. And that can happen in games. I wouldn't say it was the worst game I've ever seen, but it's not the best. But the goals made it interesting. And also, the lateness in bringing on substitutions was quite interesting. The Swiss and Portuguese coaches did not ring changes until much later in the game, which I found a bit surprising considering the weather conditions and how the game was playing out until the 2 Portuguese goals. I'm surprised the Portuguese coach didn't make changes at half-time, didn't introduce some new attacking players, freshen up the midfield. However, the Swiss goalkeeper has had quite a good game, pulling off some good saves. The Portuguese goalkeeper didn't have a good game, giving up 2 goals and 2 shots in the first half. room for improvement, I think, and both the Swiss and the Portuguese are emerging women's footballing nations. The Dutch and the Swedes were established women's footballing nations. So this Group C looks like it could be a two-horse race, but then the Dutch and the Swedes could have a draw later on in the evening kickoff. So we'll have to see how that plays out. In an hour's time, as I'm recording this video, that game could be another bore draw. It could be a boring 0-0. It could be a high-scoring affair. This game did surprise me. I think the Swiss possibly were slight favourites, and the Swiss have blown a 2-0 lead, is the best way to describe it. But there we go. Thank you very much for watching. Place your thoughts in the comments section below, and I will have some more videos for you very, very soon.